I could never stick to journaling until I stopped expecting myself to stop what I was doing to actually journal. Handwriting, typing on a keyboard, typing with my thumbs, none of these methods worked for me. Turns out, the easiest way for me to journal is just talking out loud. In this video, I'll show you step by step how I built my AI-powered journal in Notion that takes my voice entries, cleans them up, and sorts them into exactly what I need. It might sound a little unusual, but this is honestly the only journaling method I've ever stuck with. I'm Anthony Wagner, and this is Queer Efficiency, where I help fellow productivity nerds solve tiny problems. All right, so if you checked out last week's video, I went into the method that I use for journaling. This is the method that I developed where I record a voice entry on my commute home from the gym every day and then use AI in my journal to sort out that entry. It's great for my own mental processing. It also acts like a little pocket therapist, and I take those entries to my therapy sessions, and they're so much more productive since I started this. So if you're curious about the method itself, watch that video and then come back here, because today I'm going to show you exactly how to build that journal step by step from a blank page in Notion. Speaking of Notion, let's jump in. And I have a blank page here. It's just living out in my private pages. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how I would construct it. I have the journal off on my next monitor, and I'm just going to rebuild it from scratch. So let's start by giving it a name. Most often when I'm in Notion, I need a little more room. So I come to the settings for the page and I'll choose full width, and that will give me the entire width to work with. Now, another quick thing, just from an aesthetic standpoint, a lot of times I'll start by setting the cover and the icon. So let's do that really quickly. And I liked this one, and I chose brown when I set it up last time. And then we'll add a cover, and we'll just use Unsplash, and we'll search for journal. Sure, that one works, no problem. That looks great. We'll reposition it a little bit. Great. All right, so the first thing that we need for this journal is a basic database. We need a spot to capture all of the entries. So the way to do that is to type / on your keyboard and type database. And we're just gonna pick this database inline, and it will populate a brand new empty database. It's prompting me to give the database itself a title. So we'll say journal database. And then because it's already on a page, I don't really need to see the title. So I'm just gonna hide it right now. So this setup is actually really straightforward. We only need to add a few properties, and the primary property I'm gonna rename to entry. And I'm gonna give it an icon like that matches the page. So I know that I need a series of AI properties, which we'll get to, but before that, I wanna set up my template. This is what a new entry looks like in my main journal, and it consists of an icon, the date and time in the name field, the AI properties that we'll set up, a prompt, and an entry. It's very straightforward. So how do we go about building that? To set up a new template, we need to come here to the right and choose New Template. You'll notice here that whenever you're editing a template, it has this yellow banner to alert you that you're editing the template. So I'm gonna make this full screen. In this case, I don't need it to be full width. I think it looks better not being full width, but it's very easy to toggle that on if you did want it to be that way. So what I'm gonna do for the name, I'm gonna type @now, and it's gonna say time when duplicated. This inserts a variable, so whenever I duplicate the page, it will insert the date and time. The next thing we'll do is we'll give this an icon, and I'll give this a different icon. I'll just search for another writing one. And this will be the actual entry icon, and we'll make this brown, I guess, as well. And then we could give this a cover too. We'll also search journal, and sure, we'll go with something like that. Perfect, happy with that. Okay, let's add the sections. This is an aesthetic preference of mine, the way I like my Notion pages to look. So my separators that I use for major sections are actually a little different. In most cases, I do a spaced out heading with standard text like this, where I'm literally entering a space between every character. If I'm gonna do multiple words with this, so if I wanted to add a second word, I would do 3 spaces between that. Just like that. So I don't need all that. So I'm just gonna select it, back it out. And then I add a divider line, and you do that quickly by typing 3 dashes on your keyboard, and that gives a divider. The next thing that I'm gonna add is a call out. You don't have to do this way. This is just how I set it up initially. So a call out Again, I type slash and then call out. It's this box, this container, so that you can put your content in it. So for the prompt, I used this little thought bubble. And I put here prompt. And then I'm just going to copy and paste the actual prompt that I have from my journal. Now, from an aesthetic standpoint, I'm actually considering making a small tweak here. So let's duplicate this really quickly. Cut this. And then just paste the prompt. Because I already have this heading, that's just how I set it up before. So this is a little improvement. I think that looks a little bit neater. And then the next thing, all we need is the entry. So I'm going to do the same thing. Just like that. Next line, 3 dashes. And then we need another call out. I could duplicate it. One thing that I can say is that Notion will remember the last formatting that you did for a call out and it will repeat it. So I'm going to leave this alone. And then I'll change this to the same symbol as the page. We'll leave it black. And then that's all we need. Honestly, I would just leave it exactly like that. So there's a spot to start typing or for you to start recording and for the dictation tool to start typing into the box. And that's all we really need in this entry template. I think that looks great. So we'll come back. So as I come back through these breadcrumbs at the top, this takes me back to the database itself. But what I'm looking for actually is the journal page. So now I have this template and I could create a new entry by clicking here and hitting that. And you'll notice that when I duplicated it, it inserted the date and time, it inserted the icon, it's got all the formatting, everything is here and it's ready for me to go. Now what I can say, not really a big fan of the color of the icon, so I'm going to edit that really quickly. We'll change that to black. Don't need this entry. Now what I want to do with the template, it would be better if when I hit the new button, it just used this template instead of the empty one and having to apply it manually. So I'm going to choose edit template and then I'll hit set as default. And in this case, I would do it for all views in the journal database. So now when I enter a new page, it automatically uses that same thing by clicking here. It automatically uses the template as its default. Great, I can leave those here. The next thing we need to do, and these are pretty straightforward, we need to add some AI fields. Now, when I click plus here, we get some AI autofill fields right at the top. And I'm going to choose AI custom autofill. What it does is it creates a text field that has this what to generate. This is the actual prompt that you're going to fill out, telling Notion what to do with that. The most important thing in this case for all of these prompts, you don't want this to auto update on page edit. When I do this, I like to be able to go back and edit the content in the AI field. And if it's auto updating when you edit the page, it will overwrite whatever changes you make. Every so often, the AI gets things a little off when it's generating. It'll get the wrong name. It'll get the wrong little details here and there. So when I record my entry and then I go through and process it by using the AI fields, I like to be able to change it. And I don't want those overwritten. So I need to make sure that that is turned off in this case. So I have 5 AI prompts. You could set these up however you want. But as I mentioned in my last video, every day I give the previous day a score. So I'm going to copy my AI prompt that I already used, and I'm going to paste it in the field. So let's talk about this for a second. It says instructions. Within the entry block, so in each page there's that entry block we just created, extract the final score I gave for the overall day. And then the requirements. Insert it as a number. Insert nothing other than a single number. If I gave a range, take the average. If I don't mention a score, leave the field empty. If the entry block is empty, don't insert anything. When I set this up before, I had that turned on at first, and so that's what that last little instruction was. Don't need it anymore, because if the entry is empty, I'm just not gonna hit the button to do it, so I can delete that. And then hit save. So I wanna update the icon and the name, so we'll call this score. And then I previously used the gauge icon. Cool, I think that looks good. And we can make this pretty narrow because the score is only 1 digit. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to duplicate this property because I won't have to remember to turn that auto update setting off each time. So we'll edit this. The next one I have is the summary. And we can give that an icon. Okay, now we need to edit the prompt. And I'm going to paste that in for my other entry. I'll go over these instructions. The rest are relatively similar. So I'm not going to do each one, but I'll read these to you and we might tweak them like I just did a second ago. And then I'll duplicate the rest of the properties to make this a little quicker. So this says, using the entry block within this page, synthesize the entry into concise bullet points. Each bullet should be 1 to 2 sentences maximum. Aim for around 5 bullets, giving preference to the most important things. Prefer quality over quantity. Write casually, but do not editorialize. Simply synthesize what's in the entry block. Speak in the second person. Don't reference the day's score or medical symptoms here unless these are a focus of the entry. If I specifically reference people by name and those points are included in the synthesis bullets, be sure to use the names so I know who they are. Use the bullet symbol to start each bullet. Start each new bullet point on a new line, leaving 1 line gap between each. And then again, I can take that out because I'm not doing the auto-generating anymore. And that's pretty much it. So let me quickly go through. I'm going to duplicate the rest of these and we can pick it up from there. Okay, I want to pause here for just a sec because I just did something that I've done in the past, and this is a little bit of an annoyance with Notion, and I wanted to call it out. I just came to this therapy block and edited the prompt. And when I pasted the new one in and I made this quick edit, I just clicked off, expecting that the field would save. It does not. Note that this is back to the synthesize the entry. And when you have long instructions like this, it pushes the save button off the screen. You see that that's down there, so you have to remember to hit save. Otherwise, it will not save and you'll get the same as your duplicated entry. So just watch out for that if you're doing something like that. Okay, on to the last couple. All right, so now I've got all of my fields. What I'm gonna do, I'll just make these a little wider. And once I actually use it, I'm guessing I would make them quite a lot wider, just depending on how it looks. But this is pretty much it. This is the database and how it works. So I'm gonna open one of the entries and I have an AI generated entry. And I'm just gonna paste that in. I really have no idea what this says. AI just made it all up. That one was actually ChatGPT. And then what I do when I'm in my car is exactly this. I'll just come here and hit the update button and just let it do its thing. And I like doing this manually because it gives me a sec to read what's written there and then I make any little edits. And sometimes that happens where I hit the button and it went slow and I had to hit it again, no big deal. All right, that looks great. So let's jump back. And I could totally leave this like this. If I wanted to create a little bit more wiggle room for things and make each entry a little shorter, I could drag these out and off the screen. But honestly, I kind of don't mind it. Just like that. Could drag the score in even a little more. I think that looks pretty good. Now, one other thing I can say that I did, this is a little bonus and it wasn't included in my last video, but I figured out how to use Notion charts to graph my entry scores over time. So what I'm gonna do really fast, let's just put this in here and create a series of dummy entries. I'm not gonna fill the rest of the fields out. I just need some with scores. What I can tell you from testing, this took me a second to figure out. I was playing with the charts and it wasn't working properly, and it finally dawned on me that this score field, it's a text-based field. It's not a number. And so when you set up a chart, we want the dates along the x-axis, and then along the vertical y-axis, we want the scores from 1 to 7, ideally not 1, but from 1 to 7. The problem was when I set it up using this score field as is, it was reading it as text, and so it wasn't figuring out this is a number. So to fix that, here's what I had to do. We'll add a formula. This is very straightforward. It's a very simple formula. We'll call this score helper. We can give it a number icon, that's fine. And then I'm gonna edit the formula, and all I wanna do is take this and convert it to a number. Thankfully, Notion has a very simple function for that, and helpfully it's called toNumber. So I'm gonna choose toNumber, and then I'm gonna put score there. This icon is telling you that the field type is a text type, which should have been the clue, and that's what I need to convert to a number. So I'll drop that in there, and then what should happen is exactly the same numbers should be replicated there. Nothing else will happen. These are just numbers now. So I can hide this. We don't need to see it. And then we're going to add a new view, and we'll add a chart. And so now I need to edit the chart. And along the x-axis, we want to choose entry. And then Notion already figured out that I was looking for the score helper. It's the only number. And so it figured that out and inserted that as the Y. Honestly, this works pretty well. I could convert that to a line chart. I think that helps to visualize this. Now there's one additional refinement that you could make. It's not going to work super well right now because I've created these all basically the same date, same time. But if you wanted to have a little bit more flexibility with showing things over actual dates, because right now I don't know how this will behave over time and how it will represent this data along your x-axis. Let's actually take a look really fast. We're going to learn something together. Yeah, it's just sorting the entries A to Z, and that could work, but you may want a little bit more flexibility with what date range you show. So let's add a created time property, and this will automatically insert the created time. That's why I'm saying it's not going to be the most useful for this example, because I just created all of these entries at this exact time. So it won't really show that helpfully in this case, but I can show you on my real one in a second. So let's edit this. Let's change this from entry to created time. And then I could say by day. And again, not really that helpful because there's only one day. But if I pull in my real journal, you can see that I have this exactly like what I just said, and it's grouping by day over time. I also put in a similar view for weekly so I can track longer term trends that group by week. And I've only been doing this for about 4 to 6 weeks so far. So there's not a ton of data, but this is what it would look like over time. And so my goal is to keep things relatively flat around 5 or on the upswing. So this is a great little review to see how have things been going. And then as I have more data and do this over a really long period of time, it'll be fascinating to be able to see that chart ebb and flow and be able to pinpoint when things maybe were a little more stressful or things were a little more engaging. So it's a pretty cool feature to have. All right, that's all I've got for you today. I hope that you learned a ton about how to set up a really simple journal entry. I love showing things like this. So if there's ever something that you're curious about building in Notion, I would gladly make a video on that. So if that's the case, scroll down to the comments and let me know. Also, if you'd like to grab this template that I just built right now, you can head to queerefficiency.com/journal and you can download it. I just asked for a name and an email address, and you can download it and have the template if you don't feel like building it all by yourself. Also, one last favor, if you found anything in this video helpful, a like and a subscribe really help. But even if it's just a like, that tells the algorithm to show you more of my content and also tells me what I should be creating. So scroll down and tap the like button for me. Thank you, as always, for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.